Part 2. What is the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life that you can't explain? 1. Working in a nursing home for years. During the night, and everyone always complained of weird stuff, like noises on the top floor. I never believe in any of that, so I was always the one going upstairs to do night checks. One night I was changing a resident on that floor with a colleague, and my colleague complained he heard something like people walking. We were in the resident room, and I had to go to the cupboard at end of that corridor to get bed sheets, and when I was coming back with the bed sheets, I kept hearing steps and like if someone was touching and opening plastic bags. I was so annoyed and looked outside the room and saw a shadow passing the corridor. The issue is that the shadow was so big, like if literally a person just passed by along, with step noises and plastic bags. I freak out so badly and froze completely. I had to call another colleague to come upstairs because I was so scared of coming out of the resident room. Bear in mind that I do not believe in those things, and for 2 years, I was always the one doing night checks on the top floor and bottom floor on my own. Never had any problem and never saw something. Since that day, I never went upstairs alone and was always very scared. 2. When I was young, probably around 10 or so, maybe younger, I was at a family wedding. It was late in the evening, so a full moon was out and it was getting darker. Me and my cousin, who's a year younger, were swinging on this big metal gate thing outside the venue. It was on the entrance to a very, very big field. We noticed a guy very far into the field who was just glowing and radiating white. I mean, his skin, clothes, everything. I remember us standing there like, WTF? Then we tried to get his attention and shouted him. He stopped, looked in our direction, but he stopped right under the full moon and pointed up towards the moon whilst staring at us. We were just in shock and confusion pretty much. After about 10 seconds of pointing, he carried on walking across the field and just disappeared behind a swing set. Even till this day, I have no idea what that was. I'm hoping it was some costume or something, but sure didn't look like it. 3. I live in the countryside, and when I was a kid, every day I used to go check the chickens that we had in a hen house in the garden. It was around 8 p.m. in the winter, dark and snow everywhere. I put my shoes on and went outside. Everything went as usual until I saw it. There was somebody standing in front of me in the dark, or like, I wish it was somebody. That figure was almost 3 meters tall and had red glowing eyes. I told my parents, and until this day nobody believes me. A few years ago, I found out the previous owner of our house committed suicide in the same place in our garden years before we moved in.